Hello and welcome back. Today's video is if I could only keep one palette by each brand. And this is a video that was started by Samantha March. It was about a year ago, and I actually did do this video when she came out with the idea. I rewatched that video and I realized that I have decluttered some palettes since then, and my favorites kind of have changed also. So I thought it would be fun to just go ahead and redo this video. I went through my collection and looked through which brands I had multiple palettes from them and picked out only one that I would want to keep from them. So yeah, I have a variety of brands here, some high-end, some more affordable. I thought this would be fun to see, and let's get into it. The first one I'm starting out with is drugstore, and that is Milani. And I only own two palettes from Milani, but I think if I could only keep one, it would be the Bold Obsessions. The other one I have is the Soft and Sultry, which is very, very cool toned. And the only reason I'm going with this one is that this does have a few cool toned shades in it, but also it has some very warm, kind of fiery type colors. I love this formula. It is fantastic. These metallics are so foiled. The mattes blend so easily. This is one of my favorite palettes. I do love the Soft and Sultry as well, but I just don't feel like I can get as much variety out of the looks with that palette. Obviously, it's like a very grayish cool tone palette, but it is amazing. And the formula is the same. And yeah, I definitely love this, and I would keep the Bold Obsessions. All right, let's jump into high end. And I went with Natasha De Nona. And this one was pretty easy. I would obviously keep the Metropolis palette because the only other Natasha De Nona palettes I have are the Mini Nude and the Mini Lila. And although I love those, there's only 5 shadows in each one of those, and there's obviously way more in this one. There are a couple shades that are kind of similar in this one as the Mini Nude anyway. I mean, not identical, but kind of in that warm bronzy color family. I do like the Mini Lila as well, but I mean, first of all, this was $129, so I couldn't just get rid of it. But yeah, I went with this, and I really do love this palette. I've talked about it a lot on my channel, and the colors themselves, they're not that unique, but the formula is truly fantastic. And I do also think that the formula on this one is just a little bit better than the one in the 2 mini palettes that I have. And I know that a lot of people have said the same as well, that the mini palettes are good, but they're not quite as good as her larger palettes. So yeah, I would definitely keep the Metropolis. The next brand is Urban Decay, and I only have 2 palettes from them, the Born to Run and the Naked Reloaded. I did do a video recently talking about all the palettes I've ever decluttered. If you want to see that, I will link it. And I did once own all 3 of the original Naked palettes, and obviously I have decluttered those. The formula was not my favorite, and I do think that now they have improved their formula with the newer palettes, at least the 2 that I have. But back to this, I would definitely keep the Born to Run just because there's actually a couple of shades in this that are very similar to the Naked Reloaded, like this coppery one here and the browns. There's some major overlap between these 2 palettes, and I do love the Naked Reloaded, but it's a very warm tone neutral palette and you can't do much else with it, whereas this one has some more variety. You know, you've got the blue here and the green and the purples. I love this orange, by the way. That's one of my favorites in the palette. So I just think I can do a lot more with this palette, and the formula, though, I think is just as good on both of them, although actually maybe the metallics in this one are just a tiny bit better. The ones in the Naked Reloaded can be a bit chunky. These are more smooth actually, so definitely would go with this. All right, the next brand is Ace Beauté, and I only have 2 from that brand also. I have the Slice of Paradise, which is a rainbow type palette, and then the one that I went with was this. This is the Ace Beauté Vintage Dawn palette, and I love this palette. This is what I'm wearing today, except for my inner corner. And then I did add a bit of a matte red to the crease because I wanted a very red look, but I love this palette. I like the Ace Beauté formula. The Slice of Paradise, though, is a major rainbow palette, so I just don't get as much use out of it, whereas this is more like an everyday type of palette for me. It is a bit neutral, but it's actually pretty bold. So this is the lid shade I'm wearing today, and this color is such a gorgeous red metallic. Now, the Ace Beauté formula, I've talked about it before, the shimmers can be a bit chunky, so you definitely need a wet brush. But with a wet brush, these shimmers are like liquid metal. It is amazing. I absolutely love it. Love this red. I also have this in the crease. And then, like I said, I put a matte red from another palette on top. And then I have this dark brown in the outer corner. It is fantastic. I like the matte formula of it quite a bit. It's so easy to blend. I love the colors in here. This is just all around a great palette, and I got this in BoxyCharm, and this is becoming one of my favorite palettes ever. All right, then the next brand is Colourpop, and I love Colourpop a lot, and I have owned a lot of palettes from them over time. Some of them I have depotted, and then some are more recent, like I got the Coconuts and the Sweet Talk palette recently. But if I could only keep one from Colourpop, I think it's gonna be pretty obvious, the So Jaded. I love this palette. Also, it does have major variety and a ton of different colors in it. And I mean, I love the Colourpop formula, so, you know, I can't say anything negative there. This is just an all-around fantastic palette. There are so many looks you can do with this. You can go super neutral, you can go super colorful. It's really, really nice. I will say I did get rid of the glitters in mine because I finally tried them out, and after I took my makeup off, my eyes were so irritated. I decided it wasn't worth keeping it, so I got rid of the glitters out of this one and the Sweet Talk. And I actually put in 2 colors from the Zodiac palette, actually. And they work really well with this palette, so I thought that was a nice addition. I had them depotted in another palette. So yeah, definitely the So Jaded. This is one of my favorite palettes of all time. Definitely my favorite from Colourpop, and yeah, I love this palette. All right, on to another favorite brand, Juvias Place. I own a lot of palettes from Juvias Place, and I love their formula. I love all of them, honestly, so picking a favorite, I was kind of between the one I'm about to show you and the Deuce palette. I love the Deuce palette, it's so beautiful. Then some of the other ones I have from them are super colorful, like the Zulu. You know, so therefore I just don't think I would use that as much. If you're interested, I did rank all of my Juvias Place palettes. You can see that in my ranking makeup playlist. But I went with this, the Saharan 2. I love this one so much. It is definitely one of their most neutral palettes, but it is super bold. I also like this one because it does have more metallics than it does mattes. I think this is where Juvias really excels, is their metallic formula, because it is so foiled. I still like their mattes. They're easy to blend. They're not super powdery, but I think what stands out for them is their metallics. So some of my other palettes from them have less of the metallics than this one. And yeah, this blue is amazing. And then you do have some more neutral colors like this peach, you know, you have a brown. Just all in all, a good palette. You can do a very glam neutral look. You can go very colorful. It's just good. That's all I can say, honestly, and definitely my favorite Juvias. Then we have BH Cosmetics. I have 3 palettes from them. I have the Weekend Festival, the Sylvia Ghani, and the Royal Affair. And I love those so much. I think the quality is amazing. I think a lot of people kind of doubt BH Cosmetics, like how good can it really be for that price? And years ago, their eyeshadow palettes were not very good, but in the last 2 years, they have really, really stepped up their game. But if I had to pick an absolute favorite, the Royal Affair. I am really, really enjoying this palette. It has, I feel like I'm kind of saying all the same reasons here, because this one does have some more neutral shades, although so does the Sylvia Ghani. But this is just a fantastic palette. I was wearing this in a recent video where I did a super green look using this color and this green here and that one. And it turned out so amazing. The shimmers in this palette are amazingly foiled. It's pretty insane, actually. I found this at a Marshall's for $8 and bought it kind of on a whim. I didn't know much about the palette at the time, and turns out it's fantastic. Yeah, there's definitely, you know, some more colorful shades like this green, this blue, this green, but also some very neutral colors. And actually there's some more cool tones in here, which is something I am lacking in my collection. I mean, I have enough cool tones, but compared to warm tones, I have way more warm tones than I do cool. But this palette kind of has it all. I feel like if I could only keep 3 palettes, I could easily pick this one and then 2 others, and I would be set. But yeah, this one is really nice. If you do happen to see it at a Marshall's, you know, I would recommend it, or if you have it, definitely use it because it's good. The next brand I went with is Morphe, and I have 3 Morphe palettes. I have 2 from the Vault collection and the original Jaclyn Hill. And if I can only keep one, pretty obvious, I'd keep the original Jaclyn Hill. This one obviously has more colors than those, but the formula on this one was better than the Vault palettes. I think a lot of people think that. And actually, I do really like this palette. I don't know that I would buy any more Morphe eyeshadows. I mean, probably not, but this one is really nice. The metallics are quite foiled. The mattes, these are some of the best mattes actually in my collection. They blend very, very smoothly. If I'm ever having trouble blending out a color in the crease and it's just not working, these 2 light mattes here are kind of go-to colors for that, and they kind of help smooth things out a little bit. I don't know, it just works. And yeah, I really like it. I don't really use the colorful shades because I don't think they're quite as good as the rest of the palette, and if I want a very colorful look, I tend to go for my other more rainbow palettes like a Juvias palette or something else. But as far as warm tone neutrals, this palette is definitely it. I really enjoy it. I've said before, it's so ginormous. I don't like that, but I cannot deny the quality is there. All right, last up is one of my favorite eyeshadow brands ever, Anastasia Beverly Hills. And I have 3 palettes from her. Well, technically I have 4 if you count. I have the mini Norvina, I have the original Norvina palette, the Soft Glam, and the Sultry. And definitely if I could only keep one, definitely this would be the original Norvina palette. And when I did this video last year, I think I picked Soft Glam from what I remember. And I still like Soft Glam, but again, I have so many warm tone neutrals in my collection that palette no longer stands out to me as much. I still enjoy it, and I actually pulled it out recently to start using it again because it had been quite a while. But there's just something about this original Norvina palette that, you know, it kind of has it all in a way, because you can go very colorful with the pinks or the purples, or you can actually do a very subtle look, you know, with this champagne color. There's a warm brown, you know, there's a matte burgundy. These are just really good. And the foiled shades are super foiled and metallic, which I like. A few of the ones in the Soft Glam, they're a bit more subtle actually, which isn't really my favorite. If I want a metallic shade, I want it to be super metallic, and this palette definitely has that. It also has this really cool grayish purple shade called Volatile. That's a really unique shade in my collection as well. And yeah, this one, quality is great. Color selection is fantastic. One of my favorite palettes in my entire collection, and definitely my favorite by Anastasia. Alrighty, that is it for this video. These are pretty much my top palettes by these brands. And yeah, like I said, this was an idea that Samantha Mount March came out with last year. And yeah, I love talking about eyeshadow palettes. It's probably my favorite makeup item ever. So anyway, let us know. I'm curious what your favorite brand of eyeshadow is and your favorite palette by them. That is it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.